If you're over 60 and still masturbating regularly, this might be the most important video you'll ever watch. This isn't meant to scare you. It's meant to protect you. You see, there's a lot no one tells you about how your body changes with age, especially when it comes to your most private habits. We're going to talk honestly about what happens as you get older and how something that once felt normal and even healthy could now be silently affecting your well-being. Let's start by clearing the air. Masturbation, in itself, isn't bad. In fact, for most adults, it's a normal, natural, and even healthy part of life. It can help with stress relief, improve sleep, and release feel-good hormones. But here's the thing, what your body could handle easily at 30 or 40 isn't always the same at 60, 70, or beyond. Age brings a new set of rules, and ignoring them can lead to problems you didn't see coming. Your body is changing in ways that aren't always obvious. Blood flow slows down, hormone levels drop, and your nervous system may not respond the way it used to. Even your heart and blood vessels react differently. That means the way your body handles arousal, orgasm, and recovery can all shift, and not always for the better if you're not aware of it. Many older adults don't realize that sexual activity, especially if it's intense or frequent, puts strain on the cardiovascular system. That doesn't mean you have to stop, but it does mean you should understand what's going on beneath the surface. If you have high blood pressure, diabetes, heart issues, or take certain medications, these changes could be more risky than you think. Another thing we need to talk about is hormone imbalance. After 60, testosterone, which plays a big role in sex drive and energy, usually drops. This can affect mood, muscle mass, and even how your brain reacts to pleasure. And then there's the psychological side. As we age, we often deal with more stress, grief, or even depression. If masturbation becomes your main source of comfort or distraction, it can quietly lead to emotional dependency, and that's not often discussed. It's not about shame, it's about balance. It's easy to lose track of how something that once felt good can start to impact your daily motivation, your sleep, and your mental clarity. Let's also talk about dopamine, that pleasure chemical in your brain. Every time you masturbate, your brain gets a hit of dopamine. But the older you get, the more sensitive your brain becomes to imbalance. Too much stimulation can lead to dullness in other parts of life. It's like turning up the volume on pleasure in one area while turning it down everywhere else. Another issue is recovery. When you're younger, your body bounces back quickly. But in your 60s or 70s, that recovery takes longer. Overdoing it, even if you feel okay at the moment, can lead to fatigue, sore muscles, lower energy the next day, or even trouble concentrating. It's not about fear. It's about understanding what your body is trying to tell you. This video isn't about telling you to stop. It's about helping you stay informed so you can make better decisions for your body and mind. Masturbation can still be a safe and healthy part of your life, but only if it fits within the changes your body is going through. When done with awareness and in moderation, it can help you feel connected and alive. When ignored or overused, it can quietly wear you down. So stay with us, because we're going to break this all down in detail. You'll learn what signs to watch for, what's normal and what's not, and how to adjust your habits in a way that supports your long-term health. No judgment, no hype, just real, honest talk about aging, sex, and self-care. This is the information most people wish they had years earlier. Stick around. Your body will thank you. Number 1. Cardiovascular strain. As we grow older, our bodies go through many changes. Some are easy to notice, and others happen quietly in the background. One area that often gets overlooked is how our heart responds to physical and emotional excitement, especially during private moments like masturbation. It might seem harmless, even relaxing, but for older adults, especially those with heart conditions or high blood pressure, it can actually place unexpected strain on the cardiovascular system. Now, you might be thinking, how can something so natural be risky? Well, when you masturbate, your body doesn't just stay calm. It goes through a series of physical responses. Your heart rate increases, your blood pressure rises, and adrenaline, the body's natural stress hormone, starts pumping. All of these reactions are normal, but when they happen together and rapidly, they can be demanding on the heart, especially if it's already weakened or under strain from medication or past illness. Climax, or orgasm, is the peak of sexual activity, and it's also when the heart works the hardest. Blood vessels tighten, muscles contract, and your breathing becomes quick and shallow. It's an intense moment for the body. For someone young and healthy, the heart can usually handle this spike. But in older adults, particularly those with heart problems, it can feel like a mini workout, one that the heart might not be fully prepared for. This doesn't mean masturbation is dangerous for everyone, but it does mean that older adults should be aware of how their body reacts during and after the act. If you've ever felt chest tightness, dizziness, shortness of breath, or extreme fatigue afterward, it's a sign that your body might be under too much pressure. These signs shouldn't be ignored. They're not just normal effects. They can point to a deeper issue with how your heart is functioning during these moments of physical excitement. In fact, several studies have looked into this. Research shows that for older men and women with pre-existing heart conditions, sexual activity, including solo activity, can sometimes trigger cardiovascular events like irregular heartbeat or, in rare cases, even a heart attack. It's not common, but it's real. The risk increases when you're not paying attention to your body or pushing through warning signs just to get that release. What's important here is not to create fear, but to build awareness. Masturbation is natural, and it's a healthy part of life at any age. But like with any physical activity, as you age, it's smart to check in with your body. Are you feeling unusually tired afterward? Are your heartbeats racing for too long? Do you feel faint or short of breath? If so, it's worth talking to your doctor about it. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because it's part of taking care of your health. And here's something most people don't realize. The body can give you signals before something serious happens. A racing heart that doesn't slow down, pressure in your chest, or lightheadedness. These aren't signs to brush off. Even if they go away after a few minutes, they could mean your heart is struggling to keep up with the physical demand. It's better to ask questions early than wait for something serious to happen. There's also the medication side. Many older adults are on drugs for blood pressure, cholesterol, or heart rhythm. These medications affect how your body responds to stress and stimulation. Some can even interfere with sexual function or increase heart sensitivity. So when you add the physical intensity of masturbation into the mix, it becomes even more important to understand how everything is working together inside your body. The goal here isn't to stop anyone from enjoying their sexuality, far from it. But it's about being mindful, especially as you age. Take it slow. Number 2. Prostate inflammation. As men get older, especially after the age of 60, it's completely normal to start thinking more about your health, especially when it comes to sexual health. One topic that often comes up, but isn't always talked about openly, is masturbation and how it affects the prostate. Many believe that frequent release is always a good thing, but that's not entirely true, especially for older men. The prostate is a small gland located just below the bladder. It plays a big role in producing the fluid that helps carry sperm during ejaculation. As men age, the prostate tends to grow in size naturally. This can lead to some common problems like difficulty urinating, needing to pee more often, or even discomfort in the lower pelvic area. Now, here's where the problem starts. If a man continues to masturbate frequently, especially on a daily basis, it can sometimes cause irritation or inflammation in the prostate. This condition is known as prostatitis. It's more common than people think and often goes unnoticed until the symptoms become too uncomfortable to ignore. Prostatitis can make urination painful or more urgent. You might feel like you always have to go, even when your bladder is empty. Some men feel a dull ache or pressure in the lower back, pelvis, or just above the groin. Others might start noticing discomfort during or after ejaculation. These symptoms can be annoying at best and downright painful at worst. What makes this especially tricky is that many men don't realize that their habits might be contributing to the issue. They think they're just staying active, releasing stress, or maintaining healthy function. But just like any part of the body, the prostate can get overworked. It's like using a worn-out machine part over and over. It eventually starts to break down or cause problems. We often hear that use it or lose it is the rule when it comes to sexual health. That's partly true, but it's not the full picture. Occasional ejaculation, whether through intercourse or masturbation, can be healthy and help clear out the prostate. But when it's happening too often, especially daily, it may not give the gland enough time to rest and recover. Think of your body like a system that needs balance. Too little activity can lead to stiffness and poor circulation. But too much can lead to inflammation and fatigue in sensitive areas like the prostate. Finding that middle ground is key, especially in your 60s and beyond. It's not about giving it up completely, it's about being smart and gentle with yourself. Some men also worry about erectile dysfunction, and ironically, overdoing masturbation can actually make things worse. When the prostate is inflamed, it can interfere with blood flow and nerve sensitivity. This can make it harder to achieve or maintain an erection, creating frustration and even more stress. So, if you've been feeling any discomfort, or if your bathroom habits have changed, it might be worth thinking about how often you're stimulating yourself. There's no one-size-fits-all number, but if it's daily and you're over 60, consider cutting back a bit. Give your body time to recover. A few days of rest can make a surprising difference in how you feel. Remember, your prostate has served you well for decades. It deserves some care and attention now more than ever. Number 3. Neurological fatigue and brain fog. Let's talk about something most people don't mention, but it's a really big deal, especially as you get older. We're talking about how ejaculation affects your brain, your energy, and even your emotions. You might think it's just about a few seconds of pleasure, but there's a lot more going on behind the scenes in your brain, and it can leave you feeling way worse than you expect. Every time you ejaculate, whether through sex or masturbation, your brain releases a chemical called dopamine. This is the feel-good hormone. It gives you that rush of pleasure and satisfaction right after release. It's like a mini reward system firing off, telling your brain, that felt good. Do it again. Sounds fine, right? But here's the catch. Right after the dopamine spike, your brain experiences a sudden crash. It drops fast, and for younger people, the brain can usually bounce back pretty quickly. But as we age, especially after your 30s or 40s, your brain starts slowing down in how fast it can produce and balance those neurotransmitters. So what does that mean? It means that same drop hits you harder and takes longer to recover from. This drop in dopamine and other brain chemicals can lead to something a lot of people don't connect to ejaculation: neurological fatigue. It's that weird mental fog where your thoughts feel slow, your focus disappears, and everything just feels off. It's like your brain is running through mud. You might even feel low-key anxious or unmotivated and not really know why. This isn't random, it's your brain trying to reset after that chemical roller coaster. Some people call it post-nut clarity, but for many, especially as you get older, it's more like post-nut confusion. Your body feels tired, your mind feels drained, and sometimes there's a weird sadness or emotional dip that follows. That's not just in your head. Now imagine doing this frequently, maybe daily or even multiple times a week. Over time, that constant cycle of dopamine spikes and crashes starts to take a toll. Your brain doesn't get enough time to fully recover. So you might notice you're more forgetful, less focused, and your motivation just isn't what it used to be. You're not lazy. You're just chemically out of balance. And ejaculation plays a bigger role in that than you might think. And here's the deeper problem. Because the pleasure is so short-lived, and the crash comes right after, you end up chasing the high again just to feel good for a moment. It turns into a loop, a cycle. You feel mentally drained, so you look for quick pleasure, but that just drains you more. And as that loop repeats, your energy, drive, and even emotional stability can slowly wear down. This is especially true with masturbation. Unlike sex, where there's usually emotional connection, physical effort, and a buildup of tension, masturbation often becomes a mindless habit. It's easy, it's quick, and it's accessible. But because it lacks deeper stimulation, the crash feels heavier. You're left feeling more empty, and your brain doesn't get the same kind of positive feedback. So if you've ever wondered why you feel kind of off after ejaculating, or why your mind feels slower and less sharp afterward, you're not alone. And it's not just aging, it's biology. It's your brain telling you it needs time, balance, and recovery. When you understand this, you can make better choices for your mental clarity, emotional strength, and overall energy. This isn't about shame, it's about awareness. When you learn how these cycles affect your mind and body, you gain the power to break free. You start to notice the patterns, the dips, and the emotional drag. And that's when you can choose differently. Protect your focus, protect your energy, and most of all, protect your mind. Number 4. Hormonal imbalance. As we get older, our bodies naturally start to change. One of the biggest changes that often gets overlooked is the slow drop in testosterone levels. Testosterone is a very important hormone, especially for men. It affects your energy, your mood, your muscles, your sleep, and even your motivation to do things. It's not just about sex or physical strength. Testosterone plays a role in how alive and driven you feel every day. Now, here's something that's not talked about enough: how your habits might be speeding up that decline. Yes, aging causes testosterone to drop. That's natural. But if you're constantly releasing, through frequent masturbation, it might be making the problem worse. Some guys are doing it once, twice, even 3 times a day without thinking twice. Over time, that takes a toll. See, every time you release, your body has to recover. Your hormones shift. Your dopamine spikes, then crashes. And if you're doing it too often, your body doesn't get the chance to fully bounce back. One of the effects of this constant cycle is a drop in free testosterone, the type your body can actually use. It's not just about total testosterone. Free testosterone is what really matters when it comes to feeling strong, sharp, and energetic. You might start noticing things that seem like just aging, but they could be linked to this. Are you feeling more tired than usual? Struggling to build muscle even when you work out? Having trouble sleeping deeply? Or maybe you've been feeling low, even depressed, without a clear reason. These signs might be linked to low testosterone, and your daily habits could be part of the cause. We live in a world that makes it so easy to get that instant pleasure hit. It's always just a few clicks away. But when something is too easy, we tend to overuse it. And that can have long-term effects on our health and hormones. The problem isn't just the act itself, it's the frequency. It's the lack of control, the mindless repetition that adds up over weeks, months, and years. Let's be clear, this isn't about quitting forever. You don't need to go monk mode for life. This is about understanding balance. About recognizing when a habit is no longer harmless and might actually be holding you back. There's a big difference between healthy release and compulsive behavior that drains you, both mentally and physically. When testosterone drops too low, it becomes harder to enjoy life. You might lose your drive, not just sexual, but your drive to improve, to grow, to push yourself. Your workouts feel weaker. Your mood dips. Your sleep suffers. Even your relationships might take a hit, because you just don't feel like yourself anymore. The worst part? Most guys don't even realize it's happening. They blame their job, their age, their diet, everything but the one habit they repeat almost every day in secret. But when you step back, take a break, and give your body time to reset, you might be shocked at how different you feel. More energy, more focus, more confidence. And it's not just about testosterone. When you reduce how often you release, you give your body a chance to rebuild its natural balance. Your dopamine levels stabilize. Your sleep improves. You start waking up with more energy and fewer negative thoughts. It's like lifting a fog you didn't even know was there. So ask yourself, what if this one habit is the thing quietly stealing your power? What if you just dial it back, even for a few weeks, and see what happens? You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain. Your energy, your confidence, your fire. Let's be real for a moment. Masturbation isn't wrong, it isn't shameful, and it's definitely not some kind of moral failure. It's natural. It's part of being human. In fact, most of us have been doing it since our teens. And for a long time, it's even served as a form of stress relief, a source of comfort, and a way to connect with our bodies. There's no shame in that. None. But something changes as we age. After 60, your body isn't the same, and neither is your energy, your hormone balance, or your recovery time. That doesn't mean you should stop enjoying life or intimacy. It just means it's time to start paying closer attention to how your habits affect your health. Your body starts giving you more signals than it used to, and if you ignore those signs, you could start to feel worse without realizing why. The truth is, it's not masturbation itself that becomes a problem. It's when it turns into an unconscious habit, something you do without thinking, out of boredom, stress, or even just because it's what you've always done. When your actions become automatic, they're no longer serving you. They're just running in the background of your life, using up your energy and throwing your balance off without you noticing. A lot of people don't want to talk about this, but the connection between your physical habits and your emotional well-being becomes clearer as you get older. If you're feeling unusually tired, if you're experiencing joint pain, if your mood dips for no obvious reason, these things might not be random. They could be connected to how often you're stimulating your nervous system without recovery. And yes, overdoing it with masturbation can be part of that. This isn't about guilt. It's about awareness. You're not doing anything wrong, but you might be doing something too often or for the wrong reasons. There's a big difference between pleasure and escape, between conscious choice and unconscious repetition. That difference becomes more important the older you get. Why? because the body becomes less forgiving and the mind needs more clarity. When you're younger, you can often get away with doing something just because it feels good in the moment. But after a certain age, every choice has more weight. That doesn't mean you stop doing the things you enjoy. It means you start doing them with more understanding. You start making choices that support your energy, your peace of mind, and your long-term health. It's also worth saying this. You are not broken. You are not too old. You're just in a different phase of life, and that phase requires a different kind of wisdom. Your sexual energy is still powerful, but how you manage it now matters more. If it's being drained too often, it could be holding you back from better sleep, better focus, and even better connection with others. The goal here isn't to make you feel guilty. It's to help you feel in control. Masturbation can still be part of your life, but let it be something that adds to your well-being, not something that slowly chips away at it without you realizing. When you take a step back and ask yourself why you're doing something, you start taking charge of your life again. That's what this is about. You don't have to stop. You just have to become more mindful. Ask yourself, am I doing this because I need a release, or because I'm trying to avoid something else? Am I listening to what my body is telling me, or am I ignoring the signs? These small reflections can lead to powerful changes, even at this stage of life. So here's the bottom line. Masturbation isn't the enemy, but doing it on autopilot is.